Hello, I'm Dr. Kenneth Goldberg, and I'm the author of The Homework Trap: How to Save the Sanity of Parents, Students, and Teachers. I'd like to comment on this article about the student being upset over the negative award. The teacher evidently gave the student an award for the most excuses for missing homework. The mother was upset. The principal said that it was all done in good fun, and it appears to have made national news since this article is found in a Kansas City publication, yet it occurred in Tucson, Arizona. Here are my thoughts on the issue. With regard to the teacher herself doing this award, I kind of feel like we can give her a break. I mean, we don't want to humiliate students, and yet teachers do try to have fun, and sometimes in the process of having fun, one does something that's misguided. But I think it's a tip of the iceberg story that deals with a larger issue, which has to do with kids being humiliated over homework in unnecessary and highly destructive ways. So first, let me just share a story from my own personal experience with regard to being humiliated when a teacher tries to have fun. This story reminds me going back to 5th grade when I was in school and my teacher decided in the spirit of fun to dismiss kids in successive ways based on silly attributes. So all the kids stood up, and he started out by saying something like, and this is years ago, but something like, everybody with a red shirt is dismissed. So all the kids with the red shirts left, and then maybe something like, everybody whose first name begins with a vowel can go, and then all the kids who had first names with vowels could go. And I'm standing there hoping that I get called next, and there's a few more of these attributes come about, and finally it's me, and it's about maybe 6 of us all together left, all boys. So the teacher ends up by saying, okay, everybody who has a belt can leave. And sure enough, it was a day I forgot to put my belt on. So 5 kids leave, and there I am standing by myself, and he looks at me, and he says, everyone who's an optimist can leave. Well, that was pretty embarrassing, and I mean, here I am 65 years old, and I'm still remembering this thing that happened in 5th grade. It didn't destroy my life, and it was done in good fun, and I think the teacher's playfulness was certainly okay in comparison to any effort to have someone second guess themselves so much that they can't engage in a little bit of levity with their kids. But the larger issue is that there are kids who are getting humiliated every day in every classroom in America right now. And these kids are getting humiliated because they are constantly and frequently being pressured to get homework done that they can't get done. It's interesting because I put a comment on this article in this Kansas City paper, and there was one other comment that came afterwards, and the other comment said, well, if the parent had done more to make sure the homework got done, then this child would not have been humiliated. Well, the reality is home and school is school. And kids function differently in home than they do in school. And homes are all different from each other. And for some kids, homework is a simple task. Maybe the environment is easier to work in. Maybe they just work more quickly. Maybe they come home and they know what they have to do. There's other kids that just have they have some reason they can't do it. I tend to use the word under the radar learning problems. So they come home and they're not sure, they're lost, there's no teacher there, it's left on the parent to figure it out for them. Maybe they write solely, they can't do it in a reasonable amount of time, and they're constantly coming up with excuses. And if anything, we're teaching them to come up with better excuses. And this kid's only in 2nd grade, but then in 3rd grade and 4th grade and 5th grade, the work gets harder, but no one's ever addressed the fact that the demand is excessive because demand is so variable depending on the home and depending on the child. And what happens is these children get humiliated. They get humiliated over and over again, and it is a setup for academic failure. It's an unnecessary setup, and I think it needs to stop. And that's why in my book, The Homework Trap: How to Save the Sanity of Parents, Students, and Teachers, I advocate for a few things. One of them is to invest control for things going in the home with the parents. Parents will support the schools with reasonable demands. Parents will generally be behind the teachers. Parents want students to respect authority. They want their kids to do their work. But if a problem occurs, you need to have the person at home in the zone where the problem's occurring to have power and authority. And then with that power and authority, you create time-bound assignments, so instead of making the child sit there and flounder all night long, just like you have a classroom day that starts and stops by a school bell, you have a homework day that starts and stops by a clock. And then you make sure that the child is not penalized severely for the work the child didn't do. Let the child get rewarded for the work he did. Penalties for work not done can be mild, not so devastating that the child is pressured, humiliated, the parents pressured and humiliated, and you come up with a solution. So that's the basic core of my thoughts that for this particular item and for the homework trap in general. Thank you.